Good morning, everybody. Okay, we're just going to talk at the same time today.
I mean, it'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes.
Be no different than any other day. Pure madness. Pure madness.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Someone say something so it doesn't.
Morning. Doing great.
Oh,
Good morning, Mona.
Yes.
did you have that feeling?
That's great.
Katie, did you have that feeling that we were just talking to ourselves there for a second?
I did.
Yeah.
It was awkward.
Got 44 of us online. We're all here.
Hey, hi. I hope you're feeling
46 people that are going to finish 2022 strong, I feel like.
right.
Oh, they're still coming in. Okay. Well, Katie, I'm torn. I feel like, it's December 14th. People are rolling in. And yet it's 9:02. So we really need to get this thing started, right?
We got a lot of amazing things to talk about today. So let's get started.
Let's do it. Okay. All right, you guys. So many of you know, Katie is at an amazing advance today for leadership, and I am tuning in from Mexico. I have some business down here, so we're just rocking and rolling, and just like in real estate, the show goes on. So today, the show goes on.
Yes.
But for those of you who tuned into our last call that we came in from a bunker and a tornado hit, Katie and I have taken precautions to make sure that no matter what happens, you will get all of the important information today, right, Katie?
That's right. No tornadoes are going to shut us down this time.
All right. Well, for those of you guys who don't know, I am Leslie Hobart. I am the general manager of the Experience Brokerage Network, which of course encompasses our amazing 4 Keller Williams brokerages here in Oregon. And Katie, tell us a little about you.
Well, I am Katie Hardman, and I am the Chief Opportunity Officer for the Experience Brokerage Network, bringing new opportunities and great content and partnerships to the network to make your businesses better. I'm also the team leader of Keller Williams Sunset Corridor, so I am in the office with you guys every single day. And the reason, you guys, that we share who we are every time is because we have the opportunity to share that we have welcomed 30 new family members to the Experience Brokerage Network since the last time that you saw our faces on State of the Industry. So we wanted to give a huge shout out to all of the new family members and say a personal welcome to the Experience Brokerage family, from Southern Oregon and Medford all the way up to Portland Metro and everywhere in between. Thank you for being a part of our family. We're honored to be in business with you.
Welcome, welcome. That's exciting, Katie. I know people are always like, why do they introduce ourselves every single time? And that is why, because we are growing. Now, Katie, you also announce every single one of these people on Facebook and social media every time we welcome someone. So if you're seeing their names today, remember to watch out for their faces on social media and walking down our hallways, and make sure to give them a huge XBN welcome as we launch into 2023. So but that's not all our announcements today. We've got a big competition going on, right, Katie?
We do, and it's not too late to win, actually. So if this is your first time tuning in, we are in the midst of a 4th quarter takeover. We are not in week 1. We are in week 10. There should be a 0 after that one. So we run a listing competition in the 4th quarter of every year to get our unfair share and project into 2023 or into the next year great business and build an amazing pipeline. So for the 4th quarter of 2022, here are our market center standings, meaning as a collective, how are the agents in each market center doing? Southern Oregon throwing it down with 94 listings taken in the 4th quarter. Sunset Corridor with 69, Eugene Springfield with 66, and Capital City with 33, for a grand total of 254 listings taken in Oregon and Southern Washington in the 4th quarter. So huge congrats to everybody who has taken a listing. Now, individually, who are our first place and who is on our leaderboard. So in the rookie category, we have Jeannie and Morgan, who are tied with the most listings taken. This means they're still in their first year of real estate, and they are not listening to the seasonality and taking off the fourth quarter or slowing down in the fourth quarter. They have listings out there. Solo, we have a 4-way tie as well. With Lori, Dawn, Jen, and Nick all have 4 listings. The Kelleher team, man, 10 listings in Southern Oregon. Just a huge congrats to them. And then Mary Gilbert Group, blowing everybody out of the water with 24 listings taken so far in the fourth quarter. So if these numbers are, you're a competitive person, it's not too late. The fourth quarter isn't over. So get your listing paperwork into Command so that we can count your listings and get you on the leaderboard. We will be announcing the winners at next month's State of the Industry. So once we wrap up 2022 and we tally up all the numbers, we will be announcing at our January State of the Industry.
So I certainly hope that there is a collective cheering happening in Southern Oregon, because that is a lot of Southern Oregon names on the board. And to be clear, Katie, these listings must be taken by December 31st of 2022 and entered in Command on December 31st in order to qualify for the leaderboard, right?
Correct. Yes. Must be a 2022 listing.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be an exciting 2 weeks. Let's finish strong, everyone.
Okay, we have some announcements and some fun things to share with you to help you in finishing the year strong. The first thing is, this is, yes, our last State of the Industry of 2022, but it's not the last opportunity to get in some amazing content and some amazing education. MAPS Coaching actually does a holiday webinar series where they just have all of their MAPS coaches bring out the best content, and they offer all of these for free. So I know it's small print and there's a lot on here. We're going to send out the link in the recap for access to all of these webinars, but there's things like top 3 listing opportunities for 2023. That sounds amazing. Battling buyer reluctancy, 6-figure social media data bank. Like, there's some great content, and these are the most highly requested classes and the top speakers and coaches speaking on these topics. So don't let today be your last learning opportunity. There's a bunch more opportunities this year. So look out for the link for that. And 2022 in review. Leslie, do you want to share some fun things we've done this year?
Absolutely. So typically we go transition to our market stats, and that is going to be a huge part of today. And we have 2 of the very, very best in the industry to tell you about the market updates, the market trends, etc. So today I'm going to take just a few minutes as we close out 2022 to celebrate some of the awesome opportunities and things that we've completed as we prepare to close out the year and launch into 2023. So Katie, let's go through some of our biggest wins of 2022. So in January, we were really excited that as we looked ahead into what the market and industry was going to do in 2022, our goal as a network was to create a model that allowed our agents to take control of their expenses and maximize their profitability. So in January 2022, we released our new Choose Your Own economic model, and that has been a huge success for our agents throughout the year. And of course, we'll continue on into the coming year and beyond. Next, we did, this is a big one, so exciting. We welcomed 30 new family members since our last SOI, but all together across the state of Oregon, we have welcomed 245 new KW family members to our network. So that's a huge number, and lots to celebrate there. This next one I am also very excited about. As you know, I have traveled all over the state this year, and we completed all 4 of our market center remodels for our hub market centers from Medward all the way up to Hillsborough. So a huge project, and the goal and mission behind this was to create and a more experiential business environment for all of our agents, and that they would be able to continue to thrive no matter what the world or the industry threw at us. So we hope that you are enjoying those new spaces and very excited to complete that project in 2022. Next, we launched our Experience Legacy. We also looked at every single one of our family members and how we could support them at different points in their lives and different seasons in their business. And we created Experience Legacy, which is our referral-based company that allowed our family members to stay with us, to vest, to continue to take advantage of all the effort and work and time they spent in their businesses, and continue to receive those referrals. So our Experience Legacy brokerage was created. We enhanced our coaching program and launched Accelerate Coaching, led by the amazing Mara Gregory out of Eugene. And this allowed us to continue to focus and level up on our agent production and growth trajectory throughout the year. And they released some new classes, trainings, and opportunities for our agents to focus on their production. Oh my gosh, this is a lot. We also announced Experience Leverage, which was one of our most requested services. And that created an opportunity for agents to leverage the network to increase their productivity. So we were really excited that this is one of our most successful launches, and very excited Mr. Jeremiah Collins leading the way on enhancing the productivity of every single one of our agents who's taken advantage of Experience Leverage. That's not all. We launched Experience Talent. We know how comprehensive, for those of you who have hired talent into their world, whether you're hiring an admin or a buyer's agent or a listing specialist, we know how intensive that career visioning process is and how much time it takes to learn it and implement it. So we made it easier for all of our agents to find and hire talented individuals in their business without having to slow down or change their focus from their production and leadership. So huge thank you to Kate Goey, who led our Experience Talent division and brought incredible talent to our network. And another one of our most requested services, we created Experience Marketing, which created the easy button for marketing. So we now have a platform where agents can quickly request and order marketing by simply visiting the website. And this allowed a lot of our agents to not have to go out and get additional talent, to have an in-house resource to take care of their marketing and leverage needs. So another huge thing led by our agent services division. And finally, this is one that you guys may not have known about, because quietly in the background, this was the true show of our Associate Leadership Council being the heart and voice of our agent population and true culture and action. They spent the year updating our XBN P&G manual, so our policies and guidelines manual, and we spent countless hours having high-level conversations about how we can best support our agents and what our policies and guidelines and standards would look like in our local market centers and across the network. And the final P&G will be released later this week. So, whew, Katie, that was a lot.
We did a lot in 2022. And I hope that you guys are excited to be a part of these things. And one of the things I want to say as we talk about what to expect in 2023 is that we want to go deeper on those things and enhance our leverage and our marketing and our talent and our legacy and all of the different pieces of the Experience Brokerage Network that we launched in 2022. We want to continue to go deep and offer better service for you, because one of the things that the network and each individual brokerage is 100% committed to in 2023 is staying focused on your productivity and your profitability. It's not lost on us that 2023 is going to be potentially a different year. And so we want to stay focused on making sure that you have all the tools and resources to be the most productive and profitable business owners. So as we look into 2023, some of the things that you can expect us to roll out is a new and enhanced training calendar that will include advanced practices classes, new training, as well as continuing our master series and our state of the industry. So you don't lose touch with that economic update every month, and getting high level speakers. We're going to bring in more leverage items. We're going to also enhance our contract classes. We know, and you guys have all seen that we got new contracts. And so our contracts and our principal broker department is offering new classes and CE credits for attending those classes. So you can expect new and improved and enhanced contracts training in 2023, and just a lot more focus on productivity and profitability from your network and your brokerages. So be on the lookout for more information and rollouts of that training calendar and some of the new fun things coming. The one thing though that we won't stop doing is bringing you amazing people who can speak on what's going on in the market, what's going on with our local economy. So as promised, the reason you guys are all really here, right, is to hear from our favorite mortgage person, Jesse. So Jesse, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. 2023 is actually going to be amazing. And I appreciate you calling me your favorite mortgage person. I am hopefully just going to add a little bit of value. So I am packing a bunch of content into a short period of time because there's a lot of news. And who knows what happened yesterday? I know you do. Were you watching closely? You can throw it in the chat. Somebody's got to type it in there before I say it. I'll share my screen here and get us going. CPI, thank you. That was amazing, wasn't it? All right. So throw this up. So what happened yesterday was that the CPI was released, and CPI is Consumer Price Index. And that is the measure of inflation. It's one measure of inflation. We use a lot, but that's the one everybody focuses on because it's sort of the most comprehensive. And look what happened to rates. 30-year fixed conventional loan general quote went from 6.5 down to 6.125. So we are essentially back at early September pricing, which is great. Super helpful for everybody. I'm going to get into why we think that matters. So CPI was down 7.1% versus 7.3, and it was 7.7 in October. So this matters, and the markets reacted really strongly yesterday because we had a good data point in October, and this gives us a second data point of downtrend. So now there's some confidence that maybe, just maybe, inflation is going to trend down. And I hate to overstate this. It's been the topic of the year, inflation. But right now, our real estate market is being driven by inflation. Because make no mistake, how busy you feel, how easy it is to talk to buyers, how easy it is to sell a house, these things are all related directly to our interest rates and affordability, right? So one thing we know, we could be talking about the labor market potentially, but labor market's still really strong. So if that weakens, maybe we'll talk about that. But in the geographies in which you guys are working, labor market's strong. We do not have any issues. Wages are strong. So this is really about inflation. And inflation has really been the driver of the changes we've seen in the market, okay? So right now, and core inflation was up. This is actually a big piece of news too. Core inflation was up only 0.2%. That's the mildest increase, the slowest increase we've seen since August of 21. So this could be under control, which is great. And literally on Monday, I had several of these calls and I was like, hey, tomorrow is going to be the day that dictates how first quarter of 23 is going to look. And guess what? First quarter of 23 is going to be on fire. And it's going to be on fire because we're going to get out there and do the work. So we're very excited. Since this announcement yesterday, we sent out about, probably 10,000 emails. Hopefully you received an email from us with some information and some panels. We've received over 20 leads today. Our normal average daily lead flow has been about 10. So we've had a 100% increase in buyer lead flow. So if you woke up this morning and weren't aware of this and weren't getting ready to get into your database and make dials, hopefully this helps. Okay. So what's next? Fed meeting Wednesday today. Right now, the Fed's meeting this afternoon, 1:30 or so. The Fed's going to tell us what they're going to do. Let's see what happens. They're probably going to increase interest rates 0.5%, and they'll continue increasing interest rates. What we care about most is what Chairman Powell says. I will be live streaming that here in my office on my television, and I'll let you know if anything new comes out of it. Hopefully we'll see another little dip in rates because he's going to say, wow, it looks like inflation is under control. But hope is not a strategy. We'll see what happens. So that's what's going on in the market. There's 3 crucial data points I want you to be aware of, and I want you to internalize and talk about. Number 1, home prices are trending down, but just barely. Okay. Home prices are trending down, but just barely. Nationally, September to October, median sales price only dropped 5K. We're still up 6.6% from October. So these headlines around real estate collapsing in your key markets, not collapsing, especially. There's a couple of markets that are in trouble, but most markets across the country are in very good shape. Number 2, the number of homes for sale, still low. And especially this 3.6 numbers nationally, most of your markets that you're working in are actually below that significantly. So that's an issue. And number 3, interest rates have dropped. Okay. So these are the things I want you to focus in on when you're talking to buyers. This is not October, and I'll get to that in a second. So much has changed, right? We're coming into you guys are running a 4th quarter contest. It was a rough summer. Coming into the fall, things got even worse, frankly. And I'm the mortgage guy, right? Rates went to 7.25. We lost 1/3 of all of our qualified buyers. Guess what? We just got them back. Okay. So that's what I'm excited about. Now, part of the call today, Katie was like, you need to give these guys something to do now. I know I love all this financial stuff, but what are we supposed to do? I think you need to do a couple things. You need to provide this perspective. This is perspective that I have because I sit and stare at my computer and I bite my fingernails because I don't want to lose much of my loan pipeline, right? This is perspective that I have because I'm talking to Chris Stewart and Chris Suarez every week. They're saying, what the heck's going on with the market? Our buyers don't have this perspective. Give it to them. Okay. Call, text, email, every single one. And I want you thinking about the buyers you've talked to. Are you dealing with waiters or regretters? Those are the 2 buckets. So we talk to a lot of buyers, right? You guys refer your buyers in, we talk to them, we have our little consult process, we run through it, and we find buyers are falling in one of 2 categories, waiters or regretters. Waiters are waiting for something to change. Regretters are ones that regret not buying in 21 because they missed out on something, right? And those are kind of our 2 key objections that we're getting. So let's deal with, first off, maybe if I get my thing to click, we're going to deal with the waiters first. This, I have this in a PDF with the appropriate disclosures. And somebody asked me the other day why we don't put BKCO call to actions on these tools when we put them together. These are for you to use. You're the point of contact, right? You're the agent. You can use these things. We want buyers to call you back and then you get them to us. But check this out. October 24th, 2022, $500,000 purchase price. Interest rates were at 7.25. Today, if home prices are off about 3%, which we believe is about right in the context of national markets, I think you guys might not be down 3% in your markets, but interest rates are in fact down 1 1/8. So basically the buyer lead that you acquired at the end of October, beginning of November, that decided they want to wait, just saved $6,500 in 1 year, right? That's their first year savings. This is actually big news. Look at that monthly payment change. That's $418 on a $500,000 house. We also, not talking about it much today, but also conforming and FHA loan limits went up, right? So now you're in the $700,000 range for a conforming loan where rates just went down. This is big news. You need to share this with everybody that you've talked to. So if somebody's waiting, they can stop waiting. Here's our script. And this is, I sent all this stuff to Katie. I think you guys have a wrap-up email. She'll probably include this, so don't panic too much about writing this down. But if you're waiting for something to change before you bought a home, it just did. That's point 1. Point 2, 2 consecutive months of lower inflation dropped rates to 3-month lows, right? And when you use this language with your buyers, you're telling them what happened, and then you tell them at 3-month low, they're going back to the summer and they're realizing how much anxiety they had about missing out on interest rates, right? So you're creating a trigger for them. Sellers are still willing to negotiate. And now you have to do a little takeaway. The thing is, if rates drop much more, we could see competition for houses increase. And I'm going to pause here. Interest rates and buyers in the market are inversely related. Rates go up, buyers leave the market. Rates go down, buyers come into the market. It's that simple. We could do a macroeconomic discussion for 4 hours, but it's irrelevant. If rates go to 9%, we have fewer buyers. If rates go to 4%, we have more buyers. That's it. You need to let your buyers know that. We don't know where the bottom is, but decreasing home prices and decreasing rates won't last. We're in this really unique spot right now, and we want to communicate it that, hey, rates are trending down and home values are still, if not trending down. Sellers are negotiating, okay? We also have social tiles that we produce every Monday in our emails. If you're not getting our Monday email, we put a bunch of great content in. Throw your email address into the chat and we'll make sure you get on that email. I know there were 30 new agents. We've grabbed those rosters from Katie as often as possible and get them loaded in, but we may not have you there yet. Throw your email address in, we'll get you added, okay? And we put these social tiles in. You can just mouse click, save, dump them on your Facebook, whatever you want to do with those. So, second piece, the regret group. Here's the deal. No doubt, low rates and big appreciation made 2021 an interesting market, but there were a lot of issues that have been resolved. Buyers today have lower prices, less risk, more choice. If you're buying today, lower prices, less risk, more choice, okay? And lower prices than 22. We haven't quite gone below 21 yet, so I know there's some nuance there. Our social tiles this week, fortune favors the prepared home buyer. We're encouraging people to get prepared, right? Okay, you don't want to buy today. I understand you're not going to buy at Christmas, but let's get prepared. Let's really talk about it so that this first quarter, we can catch this falling knife of low rates and relaxed prices. Because if rates fall too low, prices go back up, okay? We also have a great social tile here. I'm not going to bother reading it to you because I did notice that Vija jumped in and she's the real reason you're here. But home buying now versus 21. Listen, you had slightly lower rates in 21. Everything else favors the home buyer. You know, in every other way, this is really a buyer's market. Okay. All right. Next thing, do now for your sellers. This is just the finance view, right? There's a lot of seller strategies right now you need to be engaged with to keep your listings moving. You need to price them right. And, you know, that's out of my scope. That you guys do a great job at that. But every single home in your market's been on the market for more than 30 days, making them an offer they can't refuse. Okay. And let me show you the finance offer that we like, that we're engaging with very regularly. We're closing these things every single month successfully. I'm going to go forward and then I'm going to go back. The 2-1 to buy down. So we've done a couple of 2-1 buy down sessions. We can do an education class for you just on 2-1 buy down. I have an entire script. We have Christine and Tej on the phone from my office today. They're in the chat right now. And they can help you understand that. We have some flyers, but the 2-1 buy down, just check this out for a second. $500,000 loan amount at 6 1/8. We put a permanent buy down in to buy that rate down to 5.625. Then we layer in a temporary buy down. Year one, a temporary buy down is a fixed rate loan where the seller basically pays the interest for a couple of years, subsidizes some interest, okay? Year one, 3.6. Year two, 4.6. Year 3 through 30, 5.6. Your seller comes up with about $15,860. Your buyer saves $16,620 and has a permanent interest rate of 5.625. This is a phenomenal tool for your sellers to say, hey, listen, now I'm going to go back if I can. There we go. Having a hard time moving your home. Price declines in our market are modest. However, there's a lot of chatter about what early 23 will bring for the market. If you want to move your home, well, I need to rewrite this script. I'm sorry. You're going to rewrite this script in your own language and make it better. Take advantage of current interest rates combined with a seller credit to unlock additional buyers. The key here is the lower the payment, the more buyers we unlock. The lower the payments, the more buyers we unlock. Interesting quote. The S&P 500 could plunge 20% within months as a recession ushers in a market correction. This is B of A's chief economist. I don't usually quote headlines, but this is B of A's chief economist saying that we could see a 20% correction in the S&P, okay? And this was like 3 days ago. So if you have a seller and they're sitting on the fence right now, or they don't want to lower their price. Their house has been sitting on the market. We don't know what the first quarter is going to bring, but using a tool like this can help. Okay. These are not the easiest things to pitch sellers, but they are absolutely an incredibly powerful tool. And what a deal for the buyer, what a deal for the seller, what a deal for you. You get to keep your home price up, right? So we slow the erosion of home values. Your buyer saves $16,620. That's a lot of furniture for their new home, their new HVAC system, right? The other thing about this 2-1 buy down that we like is that if we enter into this mythical recession next year and rates drop, guess what? As long as they still qualify, we can refinance. There is a chance they will never see 5.625%. Okay. So this is how you get back to 21, right? This is part of the regretters. Oh yeah, you regret not buying in 21? Guess what? If I could put a deal together where in your first year you're only paying 3.625% interest, and you actually pay less than you would have in July for a house, does that make sense to you? Is that interesting? So that's it for me. Quick recap. You have to change the perspective of your buyers. And, remember, and I know Zillow's the devil, but I ran a lot of Zillow leads in my previous gig here. The average close time for us on Zillow leads was 220 days. So go back, the buyers you talked to, January, February, go back a year, folks that missed on 21, go all the way back and help them change their perspective. That's the key thing, change their perspective. For the regretters, make sure you show them that, hey, this is actually a good time to buy. You have to be really clear about it. That little chart I showed you, that social tile, pretty important. People need to see like, hey, in 21, it was wild. Yeah, you missed out on some appreciation, but guess what? No inspections, zero negotiation, appraisal shorts. I mean, there are a lot of issues, right? A lot of folks now have regret about buying in 21, okay? 260,000 homeowners are now upside down on their mortgage that bought in 21 and late 22, early 22 rather. So the last thing is on your sellers. There's no excuse for a home to be sitting on the market. I know the buyer activity is a little light. That's why we're changing perspective. But if you can increase buyer activity and increase, if you can increase buyer activity and then get your sellers to offer some incentives, you're going to win. So that's how we're thinking about finance associated with mortgage and what you need to do today. And with that, I will be quiet.
Jesse, thank you so much. So first of all, we had a couple of requests for your contact information in the chat box. So I know that you'll drop that in there. And then for those of you who ask for slides or have specific questions about your clients, please reach out to Jesse and his team personally so that they can help you get all your questions answered and your clients taken care of. So thank you so much, Jesse. That was awesome. And we can't wait to hear the update from today's news.
Yeah. We'll send that out it'll probably warrant another weekly email. So you'll hear from me.
I love it. I love it. All right, you guys. So as Katie and I talked about how we wanted to finish 2022 and the who that we wanted to be our anchor for the state of the industry, we wanted to bring you somebody incredible, somebody that some of you guys know already, but I am really, really excited for our final state of the industry speaker of 2022. So who is she? She is the head of industry for Place, the president of Ben Kinney Brokerages, Mortgage, and Title. She has been a powerhouse top realtor for many, many years and runs the Vija real estate team. She runs the Empire Building podcast, and she was an original member and founder of Her Best Life. Over the last year, she has literally been engaged in every single facet of the real estate industry. In addition, she has interviewed hundreds of top agents across the country. So today, she is going to give you her insights into current trends and strategies and what realtors should be focusing on right now. So please welcome the incredible Vija Williams to the state of the industry. Vija, are you there?
That was incredible. That makes me, that was probably one of the most amazing introductions I've ever had. Jesse, did you know I had your job? I'm the president of mortgage. That was great.
That.
It made me
I
sound
love
so
it.
good.
Welcome. Well, you're definitely the star of the show. I'm glad I got it warmed up for you.
No,
Let's
no, Jesse is
get
always the
after
star
it.
of the show. Isn't he great, you guys? He comes on our Ben Kinney Network meetings monthly, and people literally come for him. He has just been like, it's like having your own in-house mortgage economist, right? It's incredible. And Jesse is definitely the president of BKCO Mortgage, not me. I am not the president of BKCO Title, and I'm really not really the president of BKCO brokerages anymore. I have stepped away to focus my time and attention on Place, but it made me sound good. Hey everybody. So I would love to start with real time, and I mean like this week, this week, last week. Are you guys feeling a little mini pickup? I don't mean the market's completely shifting, but like a little mini pickup, like you might put a little bit more into contract maybe in a typical December than not. I'd love you to just throw that into chat while I'm talking, because we had a not a fun November for our brokerages, but it feels like we're starting to see more deals come in maybe than normal. And I always want to kind of put my finger on the pulse and see if there's any undulations. So throw it in chat if you're kind of seeing any change. Maybe you're not, maybe it's just an anomaly, but one of the things that was very, very accurate in Leslie's amazing introduction is that I have interviewed hundreds of talk teams and agents. We're working on webinars again. They're going to come back. Great news for me because I love doing them. They're going to come back with Place early, like in January, probably. We had about 250,000 views on those webinars over a 2-year period, which was crazy. But that did enable me to get to talk to people that I may not have been able to talk to. And it's interesting when you're in this seat and you hear the same things over and over again with small, medium, large teams, solo agents, right? East Coast, Midwest, Southwest, you know what I mean? You start hearing the same things. And Chris texted me and said, hey, you interview so many agents. Would you talk to our brokerages about kind of themes and what you're seeing that they do, right, to be successful? So it was really great for me. And I think I'll use this again. You'll have to let me know if you think it's useful, because it really forced me to sit down and think about that and to write out what they were. And so when I was just kind of stream of consciousness, taking notes, reviewing some past webinars, I came up with 4 things. So please let me know at the end if it sucked, if it's good or whatever, because it was really cool for me to be able to consolidate all of this. And I really did find 4 things. It really kind of boiled down to 4 things. So I'm going to share my screen, which you ladies are so on top of it. I noticed you made me a co-host so I could do that. All right. So has anyone here done the New York Marathon? I won't be able to see you, but if you throw it in chat, I will be able to see it. I know that Sarita and Chris aren't on here, and they would be able to raise their hands. But this is me last month at the New York Marathon. That is the Verrazano Bridge on the right. It's the very first mile of the marathon. So actually coming down from the bridge is mile 2. Mile 1 is in the middle of the bridge, and then it's coming down. And as I'm coming down on mile 2 on the left, there's a photographer station there to capture everybody on their first mile of the New York Marathon. And I am smiling there because I am one of the last people out of the gate, and I knew I was not going to complete it. I knew I wasn't going to complete it, and I did not complete it. I'm actually happy to say I got to mile 17 before I was just limping, and just my body couldn't go anymore. I just wasn't in the physical condition to go. So why am I telling you this, especially with Chris as your OP, who is a complete marathon rock star, by the way. I'm telling you this because I knew I wasn't going to make this marathon about 60 days before. About 60 days before, I knew that it was probably too late. And then I wasn't in the right physical condition to do the marathon. Is there an analogy there to real estate? Can you guys think of what the analogy is? That by the time I got to that starting line, guys, it was it was a foregone conclusion. The work had to have been done 60 to 90 days in advance, arguably maybe 30, but certainly 60 to 90 days in advance. The work had to be done. I had to have had the right physical condition to finish that race. By the time you get to the starting line, your race isn't about that day. It is a little bit, I shouldn't say that, but your race is really about the last 6 to 12 months of training. Do you see anyone see the analogy? I know you all do. But that is really, really, really be the market that we're in right now. It's always the market, but anything you guys do today, you are going to see in 60 to 90 days, period. And it's so hard. I think we go into sales cycles, right? And it is so hard to grind and grind and grind in the activity. I was just meeting with an agent yesterday in Seattle who is one of our top agents. And she closed that door. She set the meeting with me and she was in tears. And she's like, I've never failed like this. It's like, you're not, well, let's talk about it. Are you failing? And she's like, I'm failing. I don't know what to do. And it's one of our top agents, you guys, like top agents. You probably know their name. And I said, hold on. What are your activities? What are you doing? And she is working it. She's like, I'm doing this, I'm on the phone. I'm trying to even get other people's open houses. Imagine like the top agent in your office asking you to do an open house, right? That is hustle. And she's saying all these things. And I'm like, you're not failing at all. You're doing awesome. The math has changed. And she was like, and then I start pulling it out of her. Well, I've got 3 pending for next month. I'm going to probably put 1 pending tomorrow. I'm like, you're not sucking. So the point is that she was getting discouraged because she was doing the activity and not seeing the results. Anyone else relate to that? And we go through these sales cycles where we feel like it's now 30 days, 60, and she's 60 days in of doing those activities without then she popped 3. That is my marathon analogy, right? You do all this work, and then one day you wake up and you're like, hey, I just did a 20 miler, right? It's the same thing in real estate. So the one thing I want to remind you before we launch into my 4 things that I've observed with the top teams that I hope you guys all adopt this year, is that your work you do today, next week, the week before Christmas, all of this work that you do, all of the parties you say yes to going to that you don't really feel like going to, all of these connections, all of these sipping eggnog at a cocktail party for Christmas saying, hey, do you have any real estate related plans next year? All of that is going to pay off in 90 days. Don't forget that. I just want to be that encouragement that that's going to happen for you. Okay. So let's move into our steps. So this is what I have observed, 4 things that top agents and teams do. And I think that you can do them to make your year. And you'll find that they play on each other. They all blend together and they go back and forth. It's not like 4 siloed things, which I think it was an aha for me. So the 4 things are: they have a plan, they focus on activities, they know their math, and they adjust. And we're going to dive into each one. So number 1, they have a plan. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we all know we all know how to build an economic business model, right? We all know how to build a plan. I'm sure you guys have gone through amazing business planning with Chris and Leslie and Katie as your leadership group. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. However, I will say this to you: if you're kind of secretly over there going, crap, I haven't done it yet, which I relate to. There are many years where I've done that, right? Do it. It'll make you feel really great. And my advice to you when you're building a plan, by the way, is I just think of it as reverse engineering. So I'll say, okay, if I want to sell 24 homes this year, okay, the question I ask myself is, where are they going to come from? All right, I'm probably going to have, 12 buyers, 12 sellers. Okay, where am I going to get my buyers? Where do I want to get my buyers? I just back out of it and I just keep nesting and keep backing out of it. And that's really what a GPS or 135 is. It's simply backing out of a goal, right? So don't overthink it. Heck, you guys could do it in 30 minutes, like a super basic one. I wouldn't overthink it. Like if you haven't done it, throw it on a napkin, but at least write it out. Like I'm going to state to myself and do some math to myself and do a goal. Now for some of you, this has to be super detailed and organized. And what I find is starting is the hardest part. And so as I put one of these in, either Google Sheets or Google Docs or Word or Excel, what I find is over time, I build them out. And so like a month or 2 in, they're getting super specific. And so don't think you have to start it that way, right? You can start it super basic. So I know most of you guys have a plan and we don't have to do that. But my question I was asked is, what do you see the top teams and agents doing? They all have a plan and they're all pretty detailed. In fact, what I have noticed is the ones that were the executive leadership teams and the sales managers and the agents, where they're meeting on this plan a lot and they're consistent, those are the ones that succeed. Often I'll hear the agents refer to their own plan, and that tells me they're really well coached on the team. Tells me they're really well coached. The solo agents also have a plan. The really high level solo agents, I've noticed, I call it, this is, the model of solo agent and a million helpers. So they don't have buyer's agents. They don't have a lot of other agents, but they do have a lot of operations and admin, either staff or either, 1099, like transaction coordinators by the file and all of that. So either way, they have a lot of helpers. But the second one I really do want to spend some time on, second and third are really the big ones, because I know this might sound really obvious that they focus on the activities, right? But what I mean is, you guys, they focus on the daily activities and the weekly activities, not the outcomes. The score will take care of itself. Bill Walsh says that. Coach Bill Walsh says that all the time. The coach said that. The score will take care of itself if you focus on the activities. And what I have learned is that it's really, not easy, but it's, if you miss a day, you can make up a day, right? You can go, okay, it's like a diet. You can go, okay, I have to be really good the next day. If you screw up a week, it's harder, but you can do it. Man, have you guys tried to make up a month? If you tried to make up a quarter, if you tried to make up a year, forget it. So how I view it is, I don't know if you can see my hands, but we have these peaks and troughs of our business, right? We have these peaks and troughs. You've got to build in accountability systems, processes to fill in the valleys so that the peaks and troughs look like a really mild wavy line, if you can't see my hand, instead of very deep valleys. That's what I've noticed with the really top teams and top agents, right? That the peaks and valleys, it's a much more consistent business. It's a predictable business because they focus on their activities every day. They know they have to box themselves into an infrastructure, like, hey, our team's going to lead gen together, or me as a solo agent, I'm going to go, my assistant's going to close me in my office and I'm going to lead gen. They know if they do it that day, they don't have to make it up. And it makes me think of Kobe Bryant. I always think of him. I think of him so much because he's the one that came in that extra 2 or 3 hours a day. And he would look at people and go, look, it's been a decade of 2 to 3 extra hours a day. You can't catch up to me. You can never make that up. No human can make that up. It's time on task on time on task on time, right? That's what I mean by focusing on the activities, not the outcome, whatever that looks for you. So let's talk about what that looks like for you guys now, today, 2 weeks before Christmas, right? What I think it means now is it's the right time to call your database. Like, you have to focus on database touches. You've got to focus on, like I said, saying yes to all of those events, get really comfortable with the script, something like, hey, Katie, I'm curious, like, do you have any real estate plans next year? And, what I like about, I use that script. What I like about it is you're like, oh, we're thinking about a second home and we're thinking the market's softening. This might be our chance because, we couldn't get into Cannon Beach a couple of years ago, but we might be able to get a Cannon Beach house, and we'd love to, have it, maybe short-term rented. And, of course I would jump into that if I were one of you and say, I'm happy to help you. Cause you are, even if you don't want to do Cannon Beach, you can refer them, right? With a great partner and get a referral fee. I also want to just add, because I think I would be remiss, that all great teams and great agents have tech. They have really good tech. Tech has to be a component of keeping you accountable and on top of your daily activities. Here's what I mean. If you start talking to people at a cocktail party this week and you have someone that says, you know what, call me in February or March. We are really thinking about it. And, we work remote. We can move anywhere. We're kind of thinking of Coeur d'Alene, right? Whatever it is. So what you have to do is you have to put a little reminder in your tech and your CRM, right? We, of course, use Brivity in our neck of the woods. If you have 50 people that are saying that, you can't physically keep up with that. You have to have tech to either automate the follow-up, or better yet, automate the task for you, so that when you come in, you look and you personally make the the follow-up, right? So tech doesn't have to automate everything, but it can automate the reminders for you to do something manually. And it doesn't work without tech. I have never met a good agent or a good team that doesn't have a CRM that they're using at a pretty high level. I shouldn't say I've never. It's rare. Sometimes I'll have it, but then and they'll say, no, I don't really have one. I don't really have a database. I find their assistant or someone in their ops staff is really doing a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes. And there is some element of tech driving this. So sometimes they don't think that tech's driving it, but their assistant's prompting them a lot, and that's coming from tech. So just as a kind of a thought on that one. Okay, so they know their math. This goes right into conjunction with focusing on the activities and not the results. This is going to be the one that you might resist the most, but it's probably the most important, and it's something you can start today. It's something you'll feel good about starting today, I promise you. So if anyone here is feeling discouraged, you don't have to raise your hand, but if you've been kind of feeling like this self-doubt that I'm seeing come up over the last couple of months, where maybe I'm not that good, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I don't have a predictable business, maybe my database isn't as good as I thought, maybe I don't know, because I'm doing this, nothing's happening, like nothing's going on. That was what this agent was really saying to me. It was like she was really nervous. That was anxiety that, oh my gosh, like I've never been through this before. And, I've never been through a cycle like this. And maybe I'm not that good. Maybe my database isn't that strong. And it is. And it is. And yours is too, by the way. So this is what you have to remember. You have to kind of set that monkey brain aside, and you have to learn the math of the season. So you have to learn the math of the market, right? It is just math. IGM, I say IJM, I say it all the time. Here's what I mean by that. The math is going to look different in a market like this. So instead of guesswork and anxiety, I want to challenge you guys, all of you, to something. And I want to challenge you to know your numbers. And here's the thing with knowing your numbers. Every single day, I want you to text these numbers to yourself. I don't want you to start a fancy spreadsheet, because you're never going to stick with it. Don't do that. All I want you to do every single day is text these numbers to yourself. Any contacts you had that day, contact can be a Facebook message, an IGDM, a TikTok DM, whatever it is, a text, a phone call, a face-to-face. The only rule is real estate has to be mentioned. Real estate has to be mentioned. So you can't count a contact as a really good bonding experience unless real estate is somehow mentioned, right? So that's a contact. And then I want you to track appointments held, appointments that you actually attended. Now, the go-getters can track appointments set. We have our team leaders track that. I find it interesting to see for them how many appointments set versus held. But I really want to keep it simple. So I would just say track any appointments you attended. Any agreement signed. So that's I don't know what you guys call them, buyer agency agreement, buyer brokerage agreement, and a listing agreement, right? And remember, just as a reminder, for those of you who have heard me talk before, our sales process ends at the agreement, right? That's our culmination. We close getting an agreement. Going into, what do you guys call it? We call it mutual acceptance. What do you guys call it when you ratify a house sale? Anyone? Like when you sell a house, what do you guys call that? Just unmute.
Yeah, mutual acceptance. Same.
Okay, thanks. So mutual acceptance is actually not the end of our sales cycle. Isn't that weird? The end of our sales cycle is signing the listing appointment or signing the buyer brokerage agreement. Getting a buyer in contract is actually not the end of the sales. It feels like it is, but it's not, because the end of our sales cycle is getting someone to choose us. Now it's just transactional customer service and negotiation and all the other skills to get them in the contract. It's not, we've already gotten the client. Now we have to keep them. There's client retention, but agreement signed is really, really, really important to track, right? And it gets you motivated, by the way, side note, to sign that buyer agreement, which more and more we need to sign with how funky our forms are getting, having to write in our commission. Tracking mutual acceptances and ratified contracts and closings is fun. You don't really need to do it. Your office is tracking those. The MLS is tracking those. You can pull those up later, like but I think it's fun. I just think it's kind of fun to go, I had a sale today. So my recommendation is to text those to yourself every day. And then when you're in the mood, because I'm talking to a bunch of killer salespeople, and you should not be wired to be very operational. Or if you have an assistant, text it to both yourself and your assistant. That works too. Whoever, whatever your situation is, text it to yourself. And then periodically, on a Saturday, or if you're trying to, whatever day of the week, whatever it is, throw that on a spreadsheet, a very simple spreadsheet. And I'm happy to share what ours looks like. It is very simple, right? because over time, here's what I want you to do. Over time, what I want you guys to do is start paying attention to your ratios, because this is math and I want you to learn the math of this season. And I want you to realize that everything you're doing is working. The fact is, you're going to have what you're going to find: more contacts, more appointments, more agreements right now. It's just math, and you need to learn the math. And that helps get rid of this anxiety, because what happens is you go, oh, okay, well, I don't suck. We're just in a market where I literally have to have 100 contacts to get into contracts. So I want you to start paying attention to contacts to appointments held. That's a good ratio to look at. Now, in a perfect world, wouldn't we all love 25 to 33%? We would all love one out of every 3 or 4 people. We would all love to set an appointment. That's probably not going to happen right now. It kind of depends on your source, but don't worry about it. Learn the math. IJM. Don't let your monkey brain get in there. Don't let self-doubt get in there. Just learn the math of the season. That's all. It's just going to take more. It's not you. It's not you at all, right? So then start looking at, okay, well, for my appointments, how many agreements do I get signed, which is going to be high for a lot of you, really high. And then, how many mutuals, and then how many closings I get, right? In 60 and 90 days, you guys will learn the math of this season. And I promise you, you can build a predictable business with that. You may not like the numbers. You may not like to see that you have to talk to 100 people a week in order to get to your goal. You may not like it, but I promise you there is math to what you're doing. You just don't know it. Right? That's what the top teams and the top agents do. And it really helps to kind of pull the emotion aside and to pull it out of that. And the last thing is really, really brief. Oh, there's the important ratios. I'll send this to you, Leslie and Katie, and you guys can send it around. But the last one is they adjust, and it's very, very simple. It's really a combination of all three. They do not adjust their goals usually. It happens sometimes. It had to happen this year, but usually they're adjusting their plan based on the math. So they're doing all the activities, they're understanding their math. And by the way, when you start doing activities today, you don't know your math necessarily, unless you've been tracking it. That's okay. You just start hustling and reporting to yourself. Just do what you're going to do. Do as much, push yourself as much as possible. Even in 30 days, you'll understand the math, right? But I promise you that every activity you're doing now you're going to see it. Activity breeds activity. Activity breeds activity. And I know that it's feeling a little discouraging to a lot of you the last few months. You're going to have a great year if you start doing the activity now. But your goal is your goal. Your family wealth building, your family income, that's your goal. So you are going to have to probably adjust your activities at a few different junctures this year. And that's number 4 is checking in and making sure that you are pivoting and that you are understanding, okay, look, it's taking me double the amount of contacts to get the appointments I need, and 150% of the appointments I need to get to the sales I need. So I got to change my day. I got to look at what I'm doing differently. I'm noticing the networking events are not working as well. I probably just need to spend more phone. You just have to pivot, and you just have to look at what you've got and make a decision there. So sorry, I went a little over. I apologize, but I will stop because it is 9:59. So hopefully that helped.
That was amazing, Vija. And I would say for those of you guys who are asking for the slides, yes, of course, remember that we had 2 amazing speakers today who gave a ton of updates and information. We will make sure that it goes out in our wrap-up email from today's State of the Industry, which goes out by no later than tomorrow, right, Katie?
Right.
And we'll all be watching out for Jesse's update on what happens with the announcements today. Vija, thank you so much. First of all, congratulations on the New York Marathon. I was cheering you on from afar. Do the work, put in the time, make a plan. You guys, this concludes our State of the Industry for the Experience Brokerage Network in 2022. We look forward to supporting you in your businesses in 2023. Stay tuned for more announcements, more activities, and more opportunities to come. Huge thank you from Katie and I. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and let's finish this year strong, you guys. Thank you, Vija. Thank you, Jesse.
Bye, everyone. Happy holidays.